Hi, friend. I have a super special interview with my friend Maria Weidner today. And before I share it, so I just want to tell you a little bit about what's so exciting about it. So basically, Maria is a German woman with an Indonesian soul, and that's what we're going to be talking about today. So I've long believed that when you learn a new language, you discover parts of yourself that you never knew existed, or you're able to see yourself in a completely new way that just maybe makes more sense or flows more easily. I've come across maybe two people in my life that have, I'm sure there are more, but that have basically found just like through one language this beautiful part of their soul that they never knew existed before and that they didn't even know they were looking for. And I really encourage you to check out in the original post, I put a link to a video where you can watch Maria speaking Indonesian, because so whether you want to pause this video and go check out that one first, so you know what I'm talking about, it really is such a joy to see someone it's almost like a dance, just like flowing through life in this language that they've adopted, or that has basically adopted them. So without further ado, here's her interview. Hi there, this is Irina Pravet from Language Catalyst, and I'm here with my friend Maria. So Maria is, hi! You are an avid language learner, and let me see if I can remember. So you speak German as a native speaker, you speak English, you speak Indonesian, Spanish, and you've dabbled in some other languages, right?
Any.
Yeah. So I'm really excited to talk to you today about the subject of linguistic souls and linguistic identities. This is something that I'm always obsessed to just like find people to talk to about. And just backstory, so Maria and I met like 2 years ago at the Polyglot Gathering, right? And this year I saw your talk on Indonesian, which you did entirely, so it was an introduction to Indonesian, and it was entirely in Indonesian. And one of the speakers, Michael Levi Harris, did a shout out to you, like, if somebody has an Indonesian soul, it's Maria. And I just loved watching you. It was this great performance of a German woman who was Indonesian, like the entire time. Yeah, that's what I want to talk to you about. So my first question to you is, how did you end up in Indonesia, and how long were you there for, and kind of what's the story there?
So I was never interested in Asia, not at all. My focus was Latin America, and I was crazy about Peru and Bolivia, and I was studying Quechua and stuff. And then my best friend moved to Indonesia to study there. She was half Indonesian, and then she said, just come visit me. And I thought, okay, I will never go to Indonesia, so why not? So I went to visit her. I just fell in love with the country. It was just, I don't know, I found my home. I can't describe it. It was incredible. Before I was really like Asia, well, and then I was like, yeah, I'm home finally. I just fell in love with that country. And then I came back, and I was there like 7 times.
Yeah.
Every
Okay.
time, 2 months. So
2 months.
altogether, it was 14 months.
Okay, cool. So do you have any sense of like, what was it that you like what was it about the country that was just like, oh, my heart?
It might be, I don't know, because I'm from East Germany, and I went to Indonesia the first time 93. So wall came down 89. And all I knew, okay, I've been before, I've been to Egypt 1 week and to France, but yeah, Egypt like typical tourist and stuff. And it was just also different, so completely different. And people were so, oh, I've been to Peru as well, yeah. But I don't know, I can't. It was they are loving all the time. They're funny. They are, and I mean, the first time I've been there, I went there. It was like a real touristic stuff as well.
Yeah.
Like going to discos, and dancing with all the other tourists and strange, Indonesian beaches and stuff. It was like, yeah, touristic, but it was so new. The international life, all those foreigners from all over the world, and
Yeah.
the Indonesians, they were just, Yeah. Oh, so cool. I don't know. I can't. It was. I don't know. Maybe I've been born there before. For my life, I have no
Yeah,
idea
yeah.
why.
No, I like it that you just kind of light up. So even if like you don't have words for it, you could just kind of like feel like there's something there.
Yeah.
And yeah. Okay. So what have you kind of learned about yourself in the process of learning Indonesian? Um, just diving in there with a simple question.
I must say, I didn't. Okay, when I was there the first time, after a few weeks, I bought my first Indonesian book,
Hmm.
and I tried to learn vocabulary and stuff like. But people couldn't understand me, and I was shy to speak like them, and I
Hmm.
didn't know how to pronounce it all the stuff, all because the pronunciation is a little bit different. Like not the intonation. And the
Yeah.
intonation is very important. The prosody.
Hmm.
And I was so shy, and also I did cultural things that were so embarrassing because I had no clue about the culture, not at
Hmm.
all.
Hmm.
And it was really, I did a lot of embarrassing stuff. But yeah, I realized that I can't be because I've, I've never been typical German.
Hmm.
But I don't know. I realized that I can't be someone else, and I gained a lot of self-confidence, a
Hmm.
lot of self-confidence. I think in the 2 months in Indonesia, also because people, they were just all friendly, and it was always fun and dancing and party and whatever. And before I was like, wallflower,
Hmm.
and I really gained a lot of self-esteem there. And after the first 2 months, I came back as a different person completely. Not much
Wow.
because of the language, but
Hmm.
because, yeah, of the experiences, like this little. I was 19 years old, 19, so very young,
Yeah.
and this little East German wallflower, and suddenly, guys were watching you, and everything was just fun and nice, and
Hmm. Wow. I
yeah,
can't
it
imagine
changed,
you I
changed,
can't
yeah, a
imagine
lot.
you at all as a wallflower because you have such a like 3D personality.
Huge glasses, huge, even ugly glasses, hair is like, and very, very shy and no self-confidence. And after the 2 months, it was different, completely different.
Yeah, that's remarkable. You've often said that Indonesia is a beautiful country with beautiful people. I've heard you say this before. So, do you think that it was like that you felt that even though you were doing these super embarrassing things, like people were still like, it's okay, like that it somehow became okay to just make mistakes and, do whatever? Or was it like, I'm trying to figure out if it was like the people in the country that helped you kind of find your self-confidence or like what
Yeah,
was
people.
it?
I mean, first time was the people in the country, but also other tourists. People
Hmm.
talked to me.
Yeah.
We were hanging out in the streets, nights long and talking, just talking.
Hmm.
And something before, I was mostly at home, and I had a few friends.
Hmm.
And there, just the normal like Western backpackers life.
Hmm.
Whatever, never experienced like that. And the first time it was not only the Indonesians, but in general, the
Yeah.
atmosphere.
Yeah.
Being, young and fun and hanging around with guys because I never did that in
Hmm.
Germany.
Hmm.
I was invisible, completely invisible,
I
and
don't
suddenly
believe
there
it.
were guys talking to you. Believe it.
Yeah.
And it was just general atmosphere.
Hmm.
But I started to study Indonesian, and I stayed in the house of a painter,
Hmm.
which was an acquaintance of my friend. And just the life, in this completely crazy house of that completely crazy painter. It was all crazy, a lot of weird paintings, and the house had a lot of antiques, and it was just such a different life.
Yeah.
And always people coming, always people sitting around, hanging around, drinking and smoking and talking about politics and whatever whole night long, spending nights in restaurants, and something I've never, seen before.
Yeah. And probably something that
Before
you
it was
never,
East.
sorry, it cut out for a sec.
No, before it was just East Germany.
Yeah. Yeah.
East Germany.
Like growing up, you probably never even imagined that those things like happened or could happen. Like because
Yeah,
even before the wall went down, it's not like people were like, "Oh yeah, this is gonna happen soon, and my life will look like this." So
yeah.
yeah. So while you were having these visits back and forth, I was wondering, like, did you ever experience, or can you tell us about some example of having cognitive dissonance? And for those who don't know, that's like when you have this kind of view from one culture and then a different view in a different culture. So did you experience that between your like German side and then your Indonesian side?
Extremely, extremely. I behaved in Germany, back to Germany, always like an Indonesian.
Hmm.
So I couldn't pass by people anymore without, oh, now I'm missing the English word, like to bow,
Bowing?
to bow. Yeah,
Bow.
bowing.
Yeah.
I couldn't, yeah, because in Indonesia, if you pass by people, you have to bow a little.
Yeah.
And so I was in a metro and there were many people, and I had to pass. It's just automatically I went like this. And I always said thank you, always. I remember once I picked up the friend and she still stayed with her mom.
Hmm.
And so I rang the bell. So is she here? Yeah, blah, blah, blah. 5 minutes later, she came and then I said to her mom, okay, goodbye. Thank you very much. And my friend was like, why did you say thank you? I mean, there's no reason to say thank you.
Hmm.
She just she just stood there, It's like, I don't know, it's an Indonesian, you always do it. It's I don't know. And I did a lot of strange things you'd never do here.
Hmm.
Not in Indonesia. I wasn't that German in Indonesia, but I was
Yeah.
very Indonesian in Germany.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So do you think you found kind of like your soul there, that it somehow like that's what
Yeah.
it sounds like. Yeah. That's
Yeah, kind of.
that's remarkable. Yeah. So what about now? Like this was what 20 something years ago after the first trip. So how have you kind of blended these, Indonesian Maria into German Maria?
I mean, now it's really like long time ago. I've been there the last time, yeah, 20 years ago, more or less.
Mhm.
And but still, in the moment now, I wouldn't say I'm a normal German. I mean, many people say I'm not, and I don't really. I hope I'm not. But always when I meet an Indonesian, I switch. I just switch.
Mhm.
Before I had an Indonesian boyfriend, and if you have one, you get like 100 for free because they are never alone. So my flat was always full of Indonesians,
Yeah.
and my life in Berlin was Indonesian completely. My boyfriend
Okay.
was Indonesian, all my friends were Indonesian, and I came home and there were always some Indonesians. So I was my best friend who studied in Indonesia came back,
Mhm.
and even we talked in Indonesian to each other.
Mhm. So this was
She's
half
German.
German. She was half
Yeah,
German, half
yeah. And she
Indonesian.
grew up here. I mean, she is German, It
Yeah.
was the first time she went to Indonesia, so she was German.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
she learned Indonesian as an adult as well.
Mhm.
So she never met her father before. And she just
Wow.
learned Indonesian when she was like 21.
Mhm.
And we talked Indonesian to it. It was normal. We didn't do it for like, haha, we are so cool. No, it was just, I don't know, our language.
Yeah.
So my life in Berlin was completely Indonesian.
Yeah. And
And
so,
then,
yeah.
yeah, then we broke up.
Mhm.
Also, like, yeah, 20 years ago. And since then, I became more, like, less Indonesian as long as I'm not with Indonesians. In the
Right.
moment I'm with Indonesians, I switch
Yeah.
completely.
So what have you kept in like your German day to day that you think like this came from Indonesia or this came from these experiences?
I'm, I think, much more polite than Germans are. I
Mhm.
smile a lot. I always say thank you. Also before when I shook someone's hand, I did like this afterwards because that's what Indonesian do also for many, many years.
Mhm.
I couldn't shake someone's hand without touching my heart
What's the
afterwards. It
significance
was
of that?
so, inside. Now you always, when you greet someone, and after you shake his hand, you do like this. You touch your heart.
Yeah.
Hello. And
Oh,
I did it for many, many, many years. And
yeah.
people watched me like, okay. But I think now I'm really much, much more polite
Mm-hmm.
than an average German.
Mm-hmm.
Always smiling, saying yes, and saying thank you all the time. I think that's still,
Yeah.
yeah, and apologizing all the time, apologizing. Hmm.
Yeah. It almost sounds like part of you just like opened and you're like, this is me. That
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
yeah. Okay. So what's been your biggest challenge kind of in the process of learning Indonesian, and how did you overcome it?
Yeah. As I say in the beginning, it was really the pronunciation because I felt ridiculous. I
Mm-hmm.
really felt ridiculous because Indonesians, they sing.
Mm-hmm.
They, they, for example, in Indonesian, ja, it's yeah, yes. In German,
Mm-hmm.
ja. In Indonesian, it's also ja. But they
Yeah.
don't say ja, they say iya. So, of course, as a German at the beginning, you feel so strange,
Yeah.
being like, yeah, like
Yeah.
I feel so childish and weird. And that was really the biggest challenge
Mm-hmm.
to speak like they do. Not only
Yeah.
to say the words, written, you see written like many, many Germans do.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but you have, this singing voice and this like really childish voice.
Yeah.
But I don't know, the more I've been with them and I stayed with my boyfriend and I told him, up from now, only Indonesian. We don't speak German anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And you adopt it. I don't know how, but you don't have to feel stupid. You don't have to feel childish. You don't have
Yeah.
to feel ridiculous. Just have, I don't
Was
know.
it
Yeah.
like being around them all the time that you saw like, okay, this is okay? Or did something kind of change, or like okay, I can do this now?
I think I did it with the time automatically.
Mm-hmm.
It became, because then maybe with the time I felt more strange to say, like, for example, ja,
Mm-hmm.
instead of ja,
Yeah.
because everyone else was saying ja.
Yeah. So like that
So
kind
it's
of,
like, I don't know, maybe sometimes when you are with an maybe Australian guy,
mm-hmm.
you adopt the Australian accent because automatically without thinking about it. If
Yeah.
you talk to him, and maybe that was the same. They were talking about that, and then I lost my shyness, and I
Yeah.
just did it.
Yeah. And then like
But it was the
everyone's doing
first,
that, so
yeah,
it's like your perception changes.
yeah,
Like this is more
and
normal
I
than what
think
I was doing before.
exactly, and I think it's also what Tim Keeley said. You if you love it, if you feel it,
Mm-hmm.
you will lose your accent.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's just a language, I mean, not just a language, but if you like the language and it's great and the people are great,
Mm-hmm.
but like, I'll never lose my accent in English. I'll never lose it in Spanish. Even I speak those languages like, I don't know, forever.
Mm-hmm.
But I lost my German accent in Indonesian, like, I don't know, in a few months.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Wow.
I felt, it was, I remember once I spoke on my answering machine because
Yeah.
I wanted to talk to my boyfriend. And then I came home before him and I listened to the answering machine and I thought an Indonesian were calling. And I realized it was me.
Oh my God. The moment your video comes out from the Polyglot Gathering, please let me know so I can put a link in this post, because
I
I
think
want
it will
people
be
to
there.
see.
Yeah.
Like I
But
get goosebumps when
I
I
guess,
hear you speaking Indonesian. It's like seeing something truly special. And like, now we're just talking about it in English, but like really seeing it is like,
yeah.
wow. Yeah.
Yeah, probably it will be somewhere in January or February or something.
Yeah, it might take a while. They're looking for volunteers to edit the video. So for people who are striving to adopt, oh, I had a quote at the beginning that I forgot to mention. So they say that Charlemagne said that to have a second language is to possess a second soul. And so for those people who are striving to kind of, they want the second soul, they just don't feel it like yet. What advice do you have for them?
I think if you don't feel it, you don't feel it. Yeah, I'd really like to speak Spanish without German accent. I'd
Mm-hmm.
really, really love, but there's no way. I try my best, you know, I roll the R's and
Hmm.
I mean, people say I don't have a German accent, but I do have an accent.
Yeah.
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 And I think it comes or it doesn't, but you
Hmm.
can't force it. That's
Hmm.
really because in Indonesian I never thought about, oh, I want to be. It just happened
Yeah.
because I love it so much. And if you feel like one of them, if
Hmm.
you feel like being whatever, Indonesian or Peruvian or Finnish or whatever,
Yeah.
it will happen by itself. But to force it, how? You
Yeah.
can't force, you know, being someone else.
Hmm. Yeah. I'm thinking about my own experiences and I'm thinking like I'm often told that I don't speak Finnish like a Finnish person because I'm like more myself and like Finnish people don't tend to talk like I do. But at the same time, I do feel that learning Finnish has really like opened up my eyes to so many things. So I feel like the experience is like different, but then when we do talk about the second soul, I feel like I've just embodied it differently because the Finnish culture is like the polar opposite of mine. So instead of like feeling like I found the culture that aligns with me the most, it's
Mhm.
more like I found the opposite and then I like figured out a way to make that work. So it wasn't like love at first sight, you know,
Yeah.
but at the same time it was like this is so different. I want to understand this. But I still have
Mm.
an accent and I still have like my own way of speaking. But I kind of try to own it. I don't know, like it's a different experience, but like I'm just trying to figure out like what we can get out of this that like they have something in common, you know, but I
Yeah.
don't know what it is because I know some people don't feel it, like they don't feel it with Finnish, but they live there.
Mm.
So like how
Mm.
to not force it, but maybe just accept that you're not gonna feel it, but that like something good can still come of this. I don't know. Any thoughts?
I mean, the question is, do you mean like feeling it so that you will lose your accent or just feeling it
No,
to,
feeling it to speak it to contribute to like be part of what's going on in your environment and be able to feel like you're part of a society and a community and even a family that you have like a clear role to play. But I've never been one for like I don't want to sound like a foreigner ever. It's like meh.
it's, I mean, I don't know. I still think you can't force yourself.
Mhm.
I mean, for example, I don't love German culture in Germany that much. It's
Mhm.
always been like that. Always, always, my whole
Mhm.
life.
Mhm.
And I am German, but I can't force myself to be like,
Yeah. Yeah, I think you need to find a way to be yourself. And maybe that's the compromise. It's like be yourself because it's not like you stop speaking German. I'm talking more
yeah, of
about
course.
like people who are just like I'm
Mm.
not going to learn this language at all even though like I live in Finland. You know, so
Yeah.
that it's different. It's different. But yeah. Okay, so would you be open to saying something in Indonesian or just so people can kind of get a glimpse of what we've been talking about today?
So, tadi anak minta aku beliin es, maunya es merah, bukannya es hijau, es apa, es biru, maunya es merah, yang es air itu yang nggak enak. Terus aku ke toko mau beli es. Waduh, ada es merah, aku seneng banget, ada es merah, terus aku beliin. Nah, nanti aku kasih ke dia. Terus katanya, ini bukan merah nih, ini merah muda. Kok ada dua pun, ini anaknya, gimana sih? Tapi akhirnya makan juga untungnya. Ya.
Thank you. Wait, I feel like I just watched
You're
an entire
welcome.
Indonesian play. So what were you saying?
I said my daughter asked me before to get her some ice cream. She wanted red ice cream and no blue ice cream or green ice cream. And I
Mm-hmm.
went to the shop and there were like water ice and there were red ice cream and I was so happy and got it for her. And then I brought it home and she said, "That's not red, that's pink." But okay, I'll eat it.
Is this a true story?
It was a true story. Yeah,
Okay.
just happened 2 hours ago.
Oh, I love it. Thank you so much,
Uh-huh.
Maria. Is there any kind of anything else you want to leave us with today?
Um, I just remembered something when you asked me about a challenge.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I remember something else. I said it's okay, the prosody and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
but also Indonesian, it's so different. And as an Indo-European speaker of Indo-European languages,
Yeah.
a big challenge was to make it that simple
Mm-hmm.
because they don't have all the grammar we have, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And if you want to say something, we have like relative clause and we have the whatever, what's the name, conditional and this and that and whatever and dative
Yeah.
and they don't.
Yeah.
But you can say the same thing, you know?
Yeah.
It's not that they aren't able to say it. And that was sometimes really hard, you know, to break it down and to say some complex things
Yeah.
with such limited
Mm-hmm.
grammar.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was also really hard.
Yeah.
But finally, yeah,
But it sounds
eventually
like almost like
got it.
like that would be freeing to like, you know, because it's we overthink so many things and then it would just be
Yeah, exactly.
like a philosophical brain gymnastics exercise.
Yeah,
So,
exactly. Yeah.
yeah. Okay.
Sometimes just too, I won't say too easy, but too simple for Indo-European speakers.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because we're used to such complex stuff and we want to put it in that language, but it just doesn't work.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay. All
that
right.
was
Hey,
another
thank
challenge.
you. Thank you so
Okay,
much,
you're
Maria.
welcome.
Thank you.
I can hear you and you can hear me.
Yeah,
Yay.
that's the happiest anyone's ever been to pick up a Skype call from.